It's not how I was going to start the homily, but even though I read the scriptures like a week ahead of time, and I let them ruminate, and I would do some reflections on them and some observations and commentaries. But today came to me, so I flow with the Holy Spirit. I hope it's the Holy Spirit. When Jesus is given this example of the humble guy in the background and the self-possessed guy in the front, it brings me back to when I was a child. I would go to Mass with my grandmother, like 7 o'clock in the morning. Those days I liked waking up early. No more now. But I went to Mass with her, and around the church there were rooms that looked like, I was a kid, with drapes in front of them. So one day I decided, Grandma, what's in there? My grandmother had a heavy Italian accent. She was Abruzzese. So she says, that's for confession. I said, what's a confession, Grandma? She said, you go in the confession and you tell the priest your sins. I said, I said, well, I was too small even to know what a sin was. I may have received communion, but who knows? And I said, well, what's a sin? I go in, I said, bless me, Father, for I have no sin. I no sleep with nobody but my husband. I no steal, and I give everybody something. And that's it? Yes. And then you leave. See, and he tells me to go say Ave Maria. So, okay. So I learned from my grandmother, as lovely as she was, but she was not humble. She was not being honest. She was very self-possessed. She's going in like the tax collector, telling God. Tax collector tells God who he is, like God doesn't know, and how wonderful he is. And this is the Pharisee. He tells God how wonderful he is. I'm not like this tax collector back here. Ugh, yuck, he's low class. He says, I tithe. That's 10% of your salary. I give to the poor. I do this, I do that. My grandmother did that too. But my grandmother, I loved her. I have to say, I was with her every Sunday. We were close in Jersey City. Everybody lived close. So I'd go eat there. After eating at my house, I'd go to her house to eat because Italians can't stop eating on Sunday. So we take a pause, we go over there, and I loved her. I loved being with her. It was always fun, and I never really got some of the innuendos, probably because they were in Italian and Abruzzese, but never got all the innuendos. But my mother indicated to me that my grandmother was a nasty lady. She had a great relationship with her sons. She had 5. No relationships with their wives, because no woman was good enough for her sons. Now just pick it out there. Just let it roll from that on. So you can imagine how gentle she was when the grandchildren, no problem. She had no problem with them. But when the sister-in-laws came, my aunts, they could have stayed outside and felt more comfortable, more welcoming. Okay. So I think of this guy. Because my grandmother, I love her. May she rest in peace. I've offered a lot of masses for her. When she go to church every 7 o'clock mass every day. So she prayed a lot. And she'd take her rosary. And as a matter of fact, it was God's gift to her. Eventually, when she died, which is well into her 80s, she fell asleep after one of the masses saying her prayers in mass, to the point that no one knew she had died. So interesting how you'd like to say, she was a real tough cracker, nasty word. But God didn't see it that way. I don't know why. And God doesn't see this tough guy the same way necessarily. He's telling us, opening our eyes to how someone comes across as self-gratifying, comes across as a know-it-all and self-righteous, but it's what's inside that really counts. Okay, move away from Grandma Celeste, and let's go to the scriptures.